these Russian girls just a commodity? Valuable assets exploited at the hands of traffickers and pimps. Welcome to the world of modern slavery. It says that human trafficking is the human rights issue of the millennium.
Dubious employers promise high wages for working as waitresses or nurses, but on arriving, the women are stripped of passports and forced into slavery.
And what's promised to their families back home? How do they get from there to here?
Well, in this particular case, and it's very common, they were deceived that they were going to America to get a job and an education. It was the American dream. It was the American dream. It was the American dream. You imagine you're in a very poor village in India, and someone says, you know what, we can get you to an American university. We can get you a job that you can send money back home. As soon as they get into the country, into the United States, their visa or their passport's taken from them. They're thrown into an apartment with 20 other young people who are in the same situation, and they're forced to work 7 days a week without compensation.
Christine is now 27 and told us she was lured to Russia from Nigeria 4 years ago by her own uncle. He promised to give her a college education, but instead, she says, she was sent to a Moscow brothel and harshly beaten if she refused to have sex. In dingy back streets across the city, we recorded young women lining up to sell themselves. They're lit up by the car headlights of potential customers. Many of them were tricked into coming to Moscow or even kidnapped from their home countries and brought here. They are in effect modern-day slaves.
The customers can choose between a dozen girls, some of whom are barely legal. Svetlana is 17. She was also shut up in a flat and forced to have sex up to 20 times a day.
Both the UN and the United States have called for action, stating that Russia is one of the largest suppliers of sex slaves in the world.
The investigation has shown that in the period from 1999 to 2007, this criminal organization sold over 130 women, most of whom were citizens of Moldova, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Belarus and Russia. They were sold to Israel, Italy, Spain, Germany, Greece, the Netherlands and the United Arab Emirates.
According to independent estimates, there are around 100,000 prostitutes in Moscow alone.
The first 24 hours, the trafficker will physically abuse, usually sexually abuse, a child or a woman who they have trafficked. And so it's to get into their mind right away that I own you, I dominate you, you try and leave, this will happen again.
And your tainted goods, I mean, the whole thing in there. You know, your family's not going to want you back now, you might as well make money doing this, that kind of mentality.
It's to say, you have shamed yourself and your family, you can't go back.
I hated myself for what I was doing. I felt I'd lost all my senses, but I couldn't account for my actions. It was so humiliating to be forced to have sex. One of the girls nearly died from sunstroke. Another was raped by an Arab guard. He used a plastic bag instead of a condom. We were treated like meat. One man hit me, but the other guards intervened. They didn't want the commodity spoiled before it was sold. Russia has one of the worst records for human trafficking, both importing and exporting slaves. It's a profitable business with an estimated trade worth of $42 billion a year.
These people are making so much money on trafficked victims.
Human trafficking is known as a multi-billion-dollar global industry. The UN estimates that up to 1 million people are trafficked throughout the world each year.
This most recent slave trade case has shocked the public. The man who allegedly pulled the strings of the crime network is a senior official in Russian intelligence. Leaks from the prosecution claim he acquired documents for the women under the pretense they were needed for secret intelligence missions abroad.
In Russia, police is referred to in a little negative light because of the corruption issues.
But Russia has begun to face up to the crisis, recently adopting a new law on the protection of trafficking victims. Those who organize prostitution now face a prison term.
bring together the law enforcement agencies, together with religious communities, together with universities, together to create these community task forces. Because really that's how we can solve it. Law enforcement will not solve this problem. They can be a part of the puzzle, a piece of the puzzle, but they're not going to solve it. It's going to have to come from a community engaged group.
Russian police say they do what they can, raiding brothels suspected of forced prostitution, arresting the gangs who run them. But the problem, authorities say, lies elsewhere.
13 men have been detained on various charges, 10 of them in custody, and may face trial in the spring. But with human rights organizations suggesting that tens of thousands of women are enslaved in the sex trade, experts say that one case alone is just the tip of the iceberg.
The IOM says there's still much work to be done in preventing human trafficking. It may be the 21st century, but the slave trade has yet to be abolished.